Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome as we get things kicked off here for Super Sunday on Apex Racing TV. First up, you know the drill if you've been here before. It's the Formula Fords, the first of the two Weekend Warriors series here live Sunday night on the channel. And I'm Tim Cox. Got Samula Kumo back in the virtual production trailer, but this week joined by Andy Thompson. Andy, welcome along. I mean, in terms of great action, where have you been all season? We've had it absolutely all. And tonight, head down under Phillip Island, one of those bit of a weird tracks that if you could string together long, fast-flowing corners, you can absolutely nail it around here.
Yeah, cheers, Tim. Welcome, everybody. And yeah, it's great to be back to the Weekend Warriors. I did a couple of seasons a while back, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But Phillip Island, probably one of them tracks, Tim, that's not often used on iRacing, but I absolutely love it. I think it promotes really good racing, certainly around the back end of the track as well. So certainly in these Formula Fords, it's going to be pretty much epic. A light car, high horsepower. It's going to be an epic race.
Will be indeed. It should be no different to what we've seen all season so far. And talking of which, we've got qualifying just underway right now. Open qualifying, so everybody is out on track for 20 minutes. We are 12 minutes into that. But while I've got a chance, it's just a little bit quiet out there right now. Should we take a look at the championship standings? So we're getting kick started. I'll get my words out in a minute. With Spec 1, highest tier of drivers in this series. It's Megan Overstreet who leads the way, and really starting to open up a bit of an advantage now after the craziness last week of Road Atlanta on the short course. 44 points adrift from Jason Green, who's, well, looking like he's languishing in second place. It's been all but that this season, and certainly last season. Those two were going at it. Absolute hammer and Tom came all the way down to a finish to the line at Road America and separated by 1300ths of a second, I believe it was, from memory. Kane Lasky, he lies in third. That column in the middle depicting how many races the drivers have taken part in so far this season. And then Jason, well adrift. It's all about those top three, realistically. Giancarlo Scuola, well, he rocked up, he won a race, and then that's all we've seen from him. And he still remains in fifth. There's Jesus Rodriguez, Friends Arabian, De Gessis, Tolo, Hubler to round out your top 10 there. Across into Spec 2 now. And wow, it's Tom Laurie who's really bossed this class since the start of the season. A little bit, you know, looks a bit overinflated due to him taking part in 3 races, whereas everyone else, well, 2 or 1 races between them. but Phillip Fernandez still one to definitely watch out for. Josh Justice is third, very close behind. Phil Perkins starts to really get cut adrift. He's on 58, and well, that's over double the advantage Justice has over Perkins. Kramer, Flores, Wallbank, and Arturo ran out yet field in that one. And across to Masters now. Jim Brewster, if there ever was, just plucking away, being consistent, keeping out of trouble, and come the end of the race, by his own words, not quite knowing how you've managed to get there. Well, he is the absolute personification of that, and he leads by just one solitary point over Jorg Marnie. He's in second, and then Andrew Love there, then we've got Tagasis, Wolbolt, Ray, Freck, Murakami, Nelson, Tom's around at the top 10. Antonio Race, well, he's had 2 disasters after leading both of them and then falling out of contention through incidents. That's why Spike taking on 2 races. He props up the table in 11th. Well, qualifying underway. Simon Mayer tops the timing sheets right now with a 1:39.26, so just under a 10th faster than car will be visually joining him on the front row. That's Jorg Marnie, but all the names there. Overstreet Brewster. Wow, that's a cracking lap from him. Real cat amongst the pigeons here by his own standards. Currently lying 4th overall, 2nd in class. Well, that's respect to Tom. I was going to say Tom Coffey there, but it's Tom Laurie. He's 2nd in class at the moment, 9th. But it's Richard Coffey who leads the way, 7th overall. He will start, as things stand at the moment, from the 3rd row of the, no apologies, the 4th row of the grid. Well, Andy, I mean, you said about the back of the circuit. For me, that hairpin, it's so tricky and easy to, the corner before it as well, that little complex there where you really have to sort of throw out the anchor massively for the first time. You can see for the track map there, just as they're sort of coming around into it now. That's always the trickiest part for me, I find, because you're trying to balance the car on a knife edge through the first few turns, and then also you have to throw out the brakes, and especially on cold tyres, those opening laps, I've always found it can catch a few drivers out.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's sort of split into 2 halves of this track. You can see in the track map coming around the last corner, turn number 11, you've got a sweep in turn 12 that comes around onto the start-finish straight. Then you got turn 1, which is flat out, coming up to turn 2, the hair, sort of an open hairpin, really, coming around turn number 2, before then getting into the twisty. As we ride on board with Tom, we could just take you around the map here. So coming up to turn number 1, pretty much a flat out right-hand corner coming in here, 5th gear in these cars coming around the corner. Good opportunity for a passing move on the inside or the outside with these boards. Before coming up into turn number 2, coming down to 3rd gear, really opens up. Really open hairpin this one before coming down the hill again, coming through flat out through turn number 3, and then you have the tight hairpin at turn number 4. Probably one of the biggest areas I would expect to see some incidents out here today, because it's literally flat out, then coming all the way back down the box down to 2nd and to 1st on the exit. Accelerating out through turn number 5 up to turn 6, another hairpin again, just holding the throttle around turn number 6, then getting back onto the power through turn number 7 up through turn 8, and then up to the section that you're probably on about there, Tim, through turns 9 to 11. Really tricky. It sort of goes, the elevation is really high and then it drops down, so it's almost like a blind corner. So if somebody spins the car around the top of this corner we're seeing now through turn number 10, it's a 4th gear corner coming down to a tight hairpin again, coming down the box. So I expect some passing moves coming down here before it's starting to accelerate again through turn number 11, and literally just on the throttle now all the way back round here through turn number 12, come down the start finish straight, and like we say, we rejoin the lap again. So there was a lap around the Phillip Island circuit, and it's really good. And in these little racy cars that are super maneuverable, we're going to see some really epic passing maneuvers.
Just like that, and it's always a good track this for those races to the line, isn't it? Because you know, it's not like Spa where you come out the final corner and oh, look, there's the finish line. It's like Road America. You know, you've got that long run, and also that final corner which you saw. You know, you took us around the lap there, Andy. It just opens up, and you know, you can build the speed, build the momentum behind someone to then slingshot and get the slipstream on the run to the line, always have great finishes around it. I mean, it's, like you said earlier, such an underrated track, this one.
Yeah, 100%. It's all about being really finesse on the acceleration. Certainly in these cars, you know, they all tend to understeer a lot into corners, and then you get the snap oversteer. Not a lot of downforce really on these cars. They're literally 1.6 litre engines, 116 horsepower, 564 kilos, so built like little bullets out on track, so not really made for massive downforce. So expect the cars to be slipping and sliding a little bit, and it's going to be the ones that master that slipping and sliding around this track, you know, full throttle, then down to the hairpins, getting on the brakes, making sure they don't overshoot the corners. They're the ones that are going to do really well in this, and also staying out of trouble, because I heard you mention at the start, you know, people getting involved in troubles. I think you always get that with the Weekend Warriors races, and it's all about staying out of trouble but also maintaining the speed, and it's going to be a great race. Really looking forward to the 40-minute race we've got coming up.
And it's not far away, because qualifying just coming to an end. We've got, what, some 10 seconds left on the clock. The drivers do have the opportunity to go across the line to round out their laps. So let's have a little look of who we've got where. It's going to be, well, imagine not too bad, to be fair, for some of our drivers. As there's Murakami languishing. Really surprised to see him all the way down in 17th place on the grid. And in fact, where is it? Well, he's slowing. So I think that's qualifying done and dusted for the American. So, wow, that's going to be interesting to watch him come through the field. So a little bit out. Who else have we got out of place and maybe quite where they shouldn't be? Well, there's another one. Tim Samuli cuts to him perfectly. Dutchman Tim Hendrickson, a team torpedo. He will need to be like a torpedo through the field, because he's had every lap time deleted so far. He's had 2 flying attempts. This is his final one. So he needs to get a time on the board and into. Wow, this rightly just pointing out to me. It's highest side rating in the field as well, 8.3k. That's approximately 7,000 more than myself. So yeah, going to be really fascinating to watch him come through the field, and we'll see that a little bit later on as well from what the Ford Spec races, when around about 2 hours time from now they'll be on the circuit. Let's see how they get on. But I'm looking at this. I don't know about you, Andy. I'm not really seeing anyone improving out there.
Not at all. You can sort of hear the tires screeching as they go around the corner. It's really amazing, these little cars. Like, so much fun to drive. But a couple of names I do recognise in there. Mane obviously moved up from pro to the Masters. Now obviously got to that age. Reese as well, another one I recognise. Megan Overstreet obviously moved up to the pros there in 3rd place overall. Yeah, it's some usual suspects that I've seen from the last time I commentated the Weekend Warriors, but it's good to be back, and I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, not a lot of movement in these final stages of this qualifying. It is a very tricky track and an easy track to get off track, so it's all about, like you were saying at the start, trying to be a little bit consistent around the lap to get the lap times in, because one little pesky off track around this circuit and that's your lap done.
It definitely does bite hard, doesn't it? And that's why we're waiting for the session just to finish off. Let's have mentioned the first of our 2 sponsors for this evening. We've got PDA, Precision Driving Analytics. And their owner, Ray Phillips, has over 30 years experience in motorsports and has raced both open wheelers for almost 20 years. He's now found a passion in helping others go faster and perfect their craft, performing roles as data engineer, driver coach, and helping others and helping them get the most out of their data and video systems. Now, Ray was a data engineer and a driver coach for the 2019 championship-winning Ferrari Challenge team, assisting multiple drivers on that team. Now, the PDA also sells a wide range of data and video equipment, software and hardware that help professional drivers, high-performance driver education teams, and also the race team with multiple cars and drivers. Now, no matter what you choose, customers get the information they need to go fast and have a good time on track, and also now helping in the sim world as well. Make sure you check them out at precisiondrivinganalytics.com. Well, everyone forming up behind the Porsche 911 safety car, taking to the grid. Let's take you through how they're lining up. Simon Mayer starts from pole with York Marnie joining him on the front row. And then it's another Spec 2 Masters row. In row 2, it's Overstreet and Jim Brewster. And Teddy Rice, he starts from 5th with Jason Green next to him. Row 4, that sees our top qualifier in Spec 2, Richard Coffey, alongside Kane Lasky. Row 5, rounding out the top 10, is Tom Laurie and Alan DeGassius. Jesus Rodriguez, he's got Stevie Rape Company on row 6. And then on to row 7. That's Gary Wolbolt and Caleb Pocock. Jeff Jacobson, he's next to Franz Reck on row 7, row 8, even row 9. That's John Toms and Chris Murakami. So keep an eye out for Murakami. He's really out of position. Row 10, he's top 20. It's Joshua Flores and Phillip Fernandez. Tim Hendrickson didn't set a time in qualifying. Highest I-rating driver in the field. He's another one to keep out for. Watch out for him and Murakami, possibly even working together to get their way through the field. And David Head did not set a time, but he has taken to the track to round out your 22-car field and 11 rows in total. Well, as they head out down towards turn 1, let's have a little mention to another one of our sponsors for this evening, Arrive and Drive Motorsports. Now, welcome to your ultimate racing experience. Arrive Drive Motorsports is a full-service road racing pre-shop, specialising in Formula and sports races. Now offering full drives and drive services in F1600, F2000, F1000, S5000, or even your own car. Are you ready to take your driving development to the next level? Well, with everything from F1600 to V8 open-wheel monsters, Arrive Drive will maximise your potential and accelerate your development with up to 100 races per year in up to 6 different race cars. Are you ready? Well, you need to contact ArriveDriveMotorsports.com to find out even more about them. Whew. Right. Now down to, well, business, Andy. What are you predicting? Who's your money on? Are we going to see a Masters winner tonight, or do you think a Spec 1 winner tonight?
I think Jorg Marnie. I'm going to put my money on Jorg Marnie. I've seen him quite a few times before, and I know he's a very quick driver. Was always at the top end of the field. Being in second place, he's in prime position to try and optimize the slipstream if Simon does manage to get ahead of him, or you never know, he may get a good exit out of turn number 1 and be able to get the car up on the inside through turn 2. So Jorg Marnie is my choice for the race win.
There we go. And based on the Apex Racing TV curse of the commentators, I'm really sorry, Jorg. Your race is going to end in turn 1. As normally seems to be the drill. Certainly, I know with myself. I know we've all had them at different stages. For me, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Simon Mayer's due a win. Overstreet, you can't discredit her, but I'm really fascinated to see how Tim Hendrickson right at the back is going to get on. But should we find out? Safety car is in as they come through the final corner now. A long pit entry. Of course, we've got 40 minutes of racing coming up for you. Do not go anywhere. It's going to be a bouters. Let's get ready to go racing from Phillip Island as we are green and we are going. Mayer leaves everyone hanging around there. Overstreet getting a cracking start as we race down towards turn 1 for the first time this evening. They're 3 wide. 2, 3 deeper, 3 wide here as we stream round, and Mayer, is that being squeezed? Well, no, it's Jason Green off on the exit of turn 1 there. Is everyone making it through? Amazingly, they're still 2 wide, they're still even 3 wide. There's someone else squeezed wide. I think that might have been Jeff Jacobson there, running a bit wide. Yes, it was. Well, we're already up to a stunning start, and Overstreet has taken the lead after jumping everyone at the start, but Mayer's still alongside as we head down through into turn 4 now, onto the brakes. Who's going to take this one? And round the outside goes Overstreet to take victory, and that's Murakami around.
Yeah, it definitely was. A couple of cars just slightly hitting the wheels through turn number 1 and 2 with the incidents we just saw. And Chris Murakami, I think he lost it on his own coming down into turn number 4. Probably put a little bit too much brake in and spun the car back. So there's Chris Murakami. Going to have a long race today at the back of the field. But at the front, we've got Megan Overstreet. A great start from 3rd place overall, leading this race with Mayer in 2nd. Manny, my choice for the win. They're still in 3rd place. Overall, I think the biggest mover is Tim Hendrickson, which he was saying at the start, up to 10th, up 11 places from where he started. So a great start from him to sieve his way through the field. But like you say, 2 and 3 wide, it's always going to be ending up in a little bit of carnage here. But pretty clean lap. There's 3 drivers that have had incidents on this opening lap. But overall, as we see, Tim just trying to get down the inside here through the start, finishing a little bit of wheel touch in there. Does have the outside line coming through turn number 1. That car 21 in front is just going in front of the car. That's it. There could be 2 for 1 here going into the first corner and carrying a lot of speed on the outside, but we'll have the inside here for turn number 2. Can he get his car up the inside there of car number 21?
I'm not sure, and Lasky's on the attack, but all holding him up. There's Jim Brewster being the mobile chicane right now. At least that's what it's going to feel like for here. As they sort themselves out, Hendrickson up into 6th, dives to the outside. Is he going to try and get Brewster on the brakes here as they try to all make it 3 wide once again? That does not work at all down into Honda. A little bit of a lockup in the background there as they all try and sort themselves out. And Hendrickson, well, takes the lead of this group. Brewster, the big loser, dropping down to 8th from 5th. Well, I'd got just visions of them all going horrifically wrong, especially as they said they were banging wheels down the start-finish straight and up front. Well, Overstreet has lost the lead. Mayer and Marnie through.
Yeah, definitely has there. But Tim Hendrickson, I mean, wow, talk about a man on a mission. And I think his Team Torpedo, he's certainly living the name there, up 16 places from where he started. So he is now up into 5th place. And I wouldn't count him out. You can just see him in the background there, the blue and orange car in just the foreground of these 4 that we're watching at the moment. But Mayer currently leads the way. Manny in 2nd. Overstreet lost that early advantage, back down to 3rd. Coffee up to 4th. With Hendrickson in 5th place. I mean, wow, that was quite a good shout, Tim, for Hendrickson for the race win here. He is a man on the mission at the moment.
I think in short, what you're trying to say, Andy, is the Team Torpedo drivers that had an explosive start. Also available for weddings, christenings, bar mitzvahs, you name it. And yeah, anyway, already up onto the back of Lasky. Actually, no, in fact, Lasky's actually made his way through, hasn't he? Yeah, he has. So they're really sort of bunching up now. It's all about those top 4. Richard Coffey really taking it to him, leading Spec 1. I mean, 4 cars, and there's all 3 cars, 3 classes even represented up the front there as Hendrickson darting around the outside at Honda to try and get a move done into Lasky as they dive down into Siberia now. A smooth corner, a lot of camber around there can really help just carry speed and momentum through, but on the outside, Lasky couldn't carry it, couldn't hold on. As it comes to Hendrickson now, Hendrickson's going to be desperate to try and just get away from this group because he can. The group in front aren't too far ahead. You know, you can close that up, can't you? We've still got 35 minutes and change left of racing to do here.
100%, but obviously at the moment Lasky's really putting a lot of pressure under Hendrickson, and he's probably trying to look forward to try and get and latch himself onto the back of the front runners just ahead of him, and I'll be having Lasky behind him just trying to push him that little bit too much. Will be losing a little bit of time to the front runners, so they really need to work together just to close that gap. It is coming down, you can sort of see it. The last time round they were a lot further away than they were to Coffey in 4th place, but looking back at the front, Marnie manages to get to the front of the race, putting Mayer and Overstreet down to 2nd and 3rd. So my choice at the moment seems to be coming to fruition.
It does indeed, doesn't it? Richard Coffey's just dropped off this lead group of 3. Oh, that's Ray around. I was not alone. Antonio has already been in the wars once today down at turn 1. Well, it's happened again. A sense of deja vu. And Samuli there with the replays. Let's find out how it all happened. So there's Ray in the centre pictures. Ray's just behind him. He's going to surely lose it by himself. Yes, he does. Too much speed. Well, the sympathy spin from Race behind him. Oh, who then made contact with, I'm not too sure who that was who was coming through.
Yeah, I think Antonio couldn't do anything there. Unfortunately, Steve Ray spun in front of him, so he just tried to do evasive action, but a little bit too much steering in these cars, and that's exactly what can happen there. But Antonio Ray's not having the best of day, down 13 position from where he started, our biggest points or position loss in the race so far, so has a lot to do. But like you said, it's a 40-minute race, so there's still opportunity to try and get that up. Currently 6 minutes and 26 seconds into this race, so still a lot of time to go and a lot of ground to cover out on track. So it's not all over till it's over at the moment. He's around about with the rest of the bottom end of the Masters as well, so it's going to be interesting to see. But back at the front, Mane starting to pull out a little bit of a gap there, not much, only 1/10 of a second as he starts going 3 wide coming down into turn number 1 here. It's certainly heating up, Tim.
It is. It certainly is. And Hendrickson, that's now up into 4th as Coffee drops 2 positions as the Dutchman and Lasky also following him through. Now let's have a little bit of look at overall lap time. So they are moving quicker than our top 3, but well, Pocock definitely not moving quicker there. Trying to work out whereabouts is he on track. I'd say maybe the exit of what, 2 Southern Loop. Or was it even the entrance to it?
I think that was at turn 9 coming around. Yeah, it's around the back end there. I think that was turn number 6 coming up now into turn number 9. But we're looking back at Tim Hendrickson, and he is certainly a man on the mission, trying to close down. You can see there 2.1 seconds behind Overstreet in 3rd, and there's literally nothing covering the top 3 at the moment, 0.6 of a second. So just have a little bit of bridging, but you can see there just Lasky just constantly sticking his nose up the inside, which probably infuriating Hendrickson in 4th place, because he's trying to latch on to the front 3, and then he's got Lasky behind him who's trying to make a move at any opportunity that he can do at the moment. But yeah, certainly a heated race in here for 4th and 5th, and then the top 3 are joined by, like I said, 0.5 of a second. So expect to see a change of position coming down the start-finish straight with the front runners, because that slipstream seems to be super powerful, as we see Marnie here just going on the inside, trying to get that inside literally right alongside Mayer, now coming into turn number 1, manages to get the move done. So it just shows you that power of that slipstream coming around that corner. Like you were saying earlier on when we went through the track map there, Tim, is that whoever's in 2nd place, and if they're right behind the leading car, they've got a real good opportunity to overshoot, as we watch John Tom's there going slightly off track through turn number 1.
Well, you just used the words overshoot, literally, as Tom Johns took to the grass there. As ever, the perennial iRacing slippery ice-like grass catching the Canadian out. Well, man, he's normally used to driving on snow and ice. It's a relatively cold country as Canada. But not coming into effect here today in Australia. And, wow, it's all starting to just calm down. Oh, I say calm down a little. There's Jason Green getting a move done. And, of course, he's on a recovery drive himself. He had fallen to, what, down to 55, I think it was, from memory. Maybe a bit further after the opening laps. Yes, it was further, wasn't it? And so he's hauled himself back up to 12th. He's got 2.4 seconds ahead of him to Adam DeGassis, who's currently lying in 11th, the Spec 1 driver. So that will be, no, sorry, Masters even. Apologies, it's been a little while since he's been in Spec 1. So it'll be interesting to see what Green can do from there. So we've had drivers out of position at the start, and then we've had, through incidents, other drivers then become out of position. This being another one, being Antonio Race, and just behind him, Chris Murakami too. So we've now got 3 drivers out of position realistically, and oh, it's all happening up front again. There we go. Mayer just taking the lead over Marnie, but interestingly, they are just coming. The group behind are now just about to come to within a second of catching up with these guys, and well, the more they keep battling, the quicker and easier it's going to be for Hendrickson and co to catch up.
Yeah, definitely was a little mistake there from Mayer coming around turn number 1. Oh, as we see Gary Warbolt taking the extreme offline route through turn number 2. didn't hit the wall, so still able to carry on there, but great bit of off-road. Just needs to watch out for the cars behind and get out of his way. Yeah, and carries on as he comes down here into turn number 3 down into the hairpin in turn 4. But yeah, exactly like you were saying at the front, you know, they're constantly jostling for position. Hendrickson was around about 2.5. Look at it now, 0.8 of a second behind Mayer in 3rd place. So he has closed that gap, bringing along with him the rest of the field. Well, what's happened there with Hendrickson? He is out. Has he had an issue?
Oh no, is that a disconnect? I think it's going to be a disconnect, isn't it? Oh well. That's a disappointment. I mean, hopefully it's just a major blink, and he all of a sudden pops back in. I haven't shown. It hasn't appeared actually within the iRacing service that he's officially disconnected yet. But that is not looking good for him. Well, that's a real disappointment. But equally, it's always treacherous, isn't it, for the driver following? Because you're like, well, where has he gone? Is he going to suddenly appear? And I'm going to be right inside him, especially at a track like this. And that's, I think, why Lasky's has lost a bit of time over Mayer and Overstreet and Marnie. It's that gap as well, about 8 attempts back as he just tries to establish. But yeah, I think that is looking like Hendrickson is gone. Well, that's a shame, isn't it?
It certainly is. He was on fire, literally pulled them all together. As watch Tom Laurie having a little bit of a battle with DeGassis there for 8th overall on a track coming through turn number 1. Just doing a little bit of synchronized off-track driving there between the two drivers, back onto track and back in the same position. So these two having a really good battle for the 8th place overall with DeGassi just currently leading the way in 8th with Laurie trying to track him down. But yeah, that's pretty bad really for Hendrickson. Let's have a look at the synchronized off-road coming down into turn number 1. DeGassi on the inside, Laurie just getting each side of him, saving it extremely well. You know, normally we'd see cars just get spit off there, but the drivers still managed to go round and looking with relatively little damage as well.
Well, Andy, I've just read those words that go through every iRacer's heart, especially when you're on a good one. Dropped due to upload packet loss. So that is officially Hendrickson fully confirmed as out now. Real shame for him because he was absolutely setting the timing screens alight. He had the fastest lap of the race as well by a good, well, actually no apologies. He doesn't, because Kane Lasky actually has that honour. And here he is. He's now, well, he's picked up the mantle. And he's now getting stuck into our top 4 where it looked like they're going to sail off into the distance, just bicker over who's going to be on the podium. So turning right into an early stop. Of course, the drivers do need to make one stop here today. They won't get to the end on fuel with it being 14 minutes. So where is he going to come out? So he will get to the end on that one, most certainly. So it'd be interesting to see where he comes out and what he can do over the next few laps to try and close that gap up. After the retirement we had so far, Caleb Pocock retired all the way back on lap 6, ironically the same as Hendrickson, so not that long ago. But on board with Lasky, that's Mayer ahead of us, then Overstreet, and then Marnie just leading this little gaggle right now. But I think what's helpful for these guys is that Coffee hasn't really been able to keep up with them at this stage, and they've got a nice little buffer there. You can see from the graphic on the bottom right corner of your screen, 3.17 seconds behind Lasky. So yeah, if they want to be a bit adventurous, trying to make a move, they've got that nice buffer, haven't they? It's always a bit reassuring, that.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's great watching on board with Kane here. You know, you can see the steering wheel inputs when he's going around these tight bends, sort of the oversteer, and then basically trying to wiggle it back into way, and watching the different lines that each one of the drivers in front are taking. But I mean, it's been a great recovery drive for Kane to get back up to these front 3. The front 3 managed to get away earlier on. Obviously, Tim Hendrickson really pulled along Lasky to get up, but now Lasky is taking over the mantle here and is just about, yeah, you can see there, just getting onto the back end now of the front 3. So it's now a race for the lead for the top 4 cars. And like you said, there is a little bit of a gap now between Lasky and Coffee in 5th place. So it's certainly going to be between these 4 at the moment, unless we see a late charge from one of the drivers behind.
That gap has grown. In fact, they've pulled about an extra additional half a second across the last lap over Coffee. So Coffee, your leader in Spec 2 right now, and run that podium in Spec 2. In fact, it's Laurie and Flores who are 10th and 11th, respectively, all comfortable in their positions at the moment. As for Masters, well, it's Marnie who's leading overall. Brewster, second in class, 7th, and then DeGassis is 9th. And then, well, the top 3 in Masters, they're all in that front group. Overstreet, Mayer, and Lasky in that order. So seeing there is the group behind. Well, Lasky, sorry, Coffee coming in a bit of pressure. Sorry, bit of pressure right now from Jesus Rodriguez, the Iberian. Really making life uncomfortable. Oh, that's Marnie off. He's off.
Looks like you got a little bit of a tag there coming around turn number 9. Good to see a replay of that to see if that was the case. But Marnie looks like he's spun the car around coming through turn number 9. Oh.
No, that's Jason Green off. As he came down the hill, he would have been completely unsighted to that one. It's a little bit like Surtees, I think it is, at Brands Hatch, where you just sort of come round and across. If you fight someone there, there's nothing you can do. You can't correct your line in these low downforce cars. You see exactly how it all panned out. So Marnie leading. Has he lost it by himself? Yes, he has. Wow. It's so easy to do that because the car just gets light, doesn't it? And also in doing so, you're going to see red car left-hand side of the screen there just coming through. That was Jim Brewster. Looking good here, and that's, well, there you go. You can see there Jason Green coming through and had no chance.
Certainly a blind corner coming through the exit through turn 9 down the hill to turn number 10. So did a very good job of avoiding Marnie there and not causing that. But Marnie now down to P12, currently 4th in the Masters, but certainly has the pace to possibly get himself back up. Still over 20 minutes left of this race to go, but back at the front it's now a 3-horse race between Mayer, Overstreet and Lasky, with Rodriguez 4.6 seconds behind. But you can see there Jim Brewster in 6th place, just losing a little bit of ground, sort of in no man's land at the moment, around about 3 seconds behind Coffee, and then behind him there's around about 4 seconds of a gap. So pretty much in no man's land is Brewster at the moment, so able to just maintain his pace going around. But we're currently watching the battle with Alan Degas and Laurie here in P7th and 8th. So this battle is continuing on lap after lap.
Oh yeah, they've already made contact, these two, haven't they? So it's definitely not a gentle battle whatsoever. As they're, as you say, scrapping it right now over 7th place. And well, there's a big margin. Brewster 5 seconds clear of these two as they go side by side across the start-finish line. Laurie on the left, Agassiz on the right, well, swapping around as they make their way through. But that's Laurie for now up into 7th. But that one definitely is not done and dusted as we're fast approaching half race distance. And well, what a very different landscape it is from where we first started. Still a lot of drivers out of place. I'm gutting for Green as well previously. It just suddenly dawned on me. He'd managed to make his way up to about 8th place, hadn't he? Maybe even slightly higher, I think maybe 7th. After that spin on the opening, let's say spin, just came off track on the opening lap. So not, well, if he didn't have any bad luck, he wouldn't have had any luck whatsoever today, Jason Green. So real disappointment for him. But still remaining in 11th and still every chance of squeezing inside the top 10 for him. That's for certain.
Yeah, he's got to just get back on the pace now. Obviously, he had a little bit of a mistake there, avoiding Marnie coming down the same part of the circuit. We're currently watching the front runners, but a bit of a jostling here. Megan Overstreet at the front with Simon Mayer in 2nd, but Kane Lasky now is well and truly in the battle and in the mix with these top 3 drivers. These 3s are pull away. You can just see 4th and 5th just behind Rodriguez and Coffee fighting over 4th overall. But these 3 out in front are certainly having a battle, and again they'll just be changing over the position. We just watched the battle here with Jesus Rodriguez in 4th, Coffee just behind him there, and just look at the power of the slipstream. Coffee not deciding to make the move, but just the jostling of position at the end coming into turn number 1. We see it here with Alan Gass taking over from where Laurie got the advantage last time. It just shows you how powerful that slipstream is coming down that start finish. Oh, well, I thought he was going to try and make a dive up onto the inside there, Tom Laurie.
He guided it up. I think that's for certain. And these two, fascinating battle that they're playing out. That's for certain as well. Into the second half of the race now, and drivers starting to think about moves, starting to think about strategy as once again they can swap places. Yes, they are. That's their advantage. Laurie up the inside there into Honda, getting the move done as they head through to Siberia.
I think that is good. Chris Murakami's made a really good comeback just at the back of this battle that we were watching between Laurie and Degassi there. Obviously spun off, got to the back of the field, but has managed to make his way up to P9 with all the other cars coming off in front of him, and now he's not far behind the battle that we've been watching between Laurie and Degassi.
At another point, last time around he did a 140 dead. Exactly 140. No tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Exactly. Nice sort of stat there for you. And also, been doing so last time around alone, thanks to the battle that's going on in front of him. Talking of battles, he was 7 tenths quicker than those two. And, well, as these lots swap positions yet again, they've all occupied first and second. I'm still thinking like we've got Yogmani in amongst them, but no, of course it's Lasky now. So Lasky's not the only one not to hold first position yet, and I think that's the most crucial word in all this. Yet, as just seeing off camera, Degassis and Laurie have swapped round yet again. But I think Lasky's the interesting one. He's the dark horse in this for me because he's just sat behind, just weighing up the situation. Let these two keep on battling. They know they've got a healthy advantage of 5 seconds over Jesus Rodriguez behind them, and he's setting similar to slightly slower lap times from them, so that gap is going to continue to grow. Talking of gaps, well, these two at it once again, and they swap around positions, but looking for the switchback there is Laurie on the exit out of Honda. Can he get around the outside in Siberia? No, tucks again, and Laurie's, you can see, I was going to say he's eyeing up the, the late apex and trying to swoop his way through, but that big twitch there certainly not helping him whatsoever, and I think that's it's going to help Murakami just rein these two and even easier. So that, I'd say that might have been a bit of a half spin or a bit too deep on the brakes there from Simon Mayer.
Yeah, definitely was. But Lasky, I think where you mentioned him not going to the front, he's probably playing an astute race here. Doesn't really want to be at the front. He was behind Tim Hendrickson for the majority of the start of the race. Now he's behind another car, so he's probably doing a little bit of fuel saving. I wouldn't expect him to make the move here for the lead. He'll probably just stay behind Megan Street as he does, just to probably save that little bit more fuel, little coasting around, and was letting Overstreet and Mayer have a little bit of a battle, leaving a little bit of room for Mayer to make the opportunity move if he wants to. So I think he's playing a very tactical game here to be able to maybe do that extra one lap when these other two front runners come in, because they've literally been battling out since the start of this race. So it's going to be interesting, like you say, when it comes around to the pit stops, who's able to go. You can see him just coasting a little bit coming into the corners, being able to just use that slipstream just to keep up with Megan Overstreet. And it's going to be interesting when we get to the round of pit stops, which shouldn't be too much longer for these front runners, to see if Kane Lasky does an extra lap.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking he's going to pull out. I mean, well, obviously, we haven't got too long to find out. We'll certainly know within the next 10 minutes, absolute maximum. See the, you can see the way Overstreet just switching the car as it gets light across the top of the hill there. And Lasky definitely seems to be more content with his car right now as we head through turns 11 and 12. And yeah, no, I think, these tyres are pretty robust. They decide to go round after round after round, but Lasky's finally, for the first time this evening, going to take first place here at Phillip Island. Oh no, I'm sure I had. Yes, that's why I stopped, because you heard it as well, lifting there.
So it looks like we've actually called something right in this race with Lasky just doing a bit of coasting, trying to save a bit of fuel, and just quite happy to leave behind, because he certainly had the over. Let's have a look at this again, and we'll be a little bit quiet so you can hear the engine note. He's at full throttle, and then just up the top of this hill. there. Just literally just coached and lets off the power and just lets Megan Street go back. I think he's just there to say, yeah, I'm still here, but I'm just going to stay behind you. You crack on and carry on, and I'll just take that extra lap when you go in for your round of pit stops.
I'm talking to pit stops. Coffey, Laurie, Jacobson, Flores, and Rec all into the pit. For Antonio Race, he's come out. Where's he come out? 13th. Obviously, he was the earliest stopper of everyone. So he has come behind Richard Coffey, 3.5 seconds behind him, in fact. As Jorgemani's just set the fastest lap of the race all the way down in 9th place after leading early on. And, well, as our producer smoothly said as well, our predictions haven't gone well. Mine's disconnected, and yours has had a big incident and fallen to the back, Andy. So,
I've still got a chance or two.
Well, maybe we should say, who do you think is going to have an absolutely shocking race tonight and crash and burn and have to quit out? And hopefully they'll actually win. A bit of reverse psychology. As Jim Brewster's into the pit lane from the lead, Murakami and Degassis in 2. That's in Masters, 5th, 6th, 7th overall for those 3. And Marnie follows them in as well. So still in with a shout is Jorgemani for a chance on the podium in class. That one's not done and dusted. Driver's stationary on. Well, I'll tell you about the interesting one. I think he might have underfield a little bit because everyone stopped for an average around about the 19-20 second mark. He was only stopped for 17.75 seconds. So, yes, I'm not sure whether he's got enough to get to the end or he's timed it perfectly well. Tom's into the pit as well, the Canadian. So Brewster is out, so he's going to resume the lead of Masters. As we just see our front 3 on screen right now. Be interested to see where they all shuffle themselves out. And I think as Marnie, no, he hasn't got the jump on anyone yet. He's going to come out 4th class, but still going to be very, very close by on that little group.
As we continue with the front 3 Overstreet. Been at the front for quite a while at the moment. Simon Mayer is, he just seems a little bit more erratic than what Lasky is. You see Megan Overstreet as well going around the corners and literally sliding the car out. Lasky seems to be really, there's all 3 of them come in at the same time. So Lasky did not save enough fuel to do that extra lap, so it's literally going to be a sprint now to the end of the race. I
wonder whether his tactic might be not necessarily saving it to go longer, as Jesus Rodriguez is in 2 from 4th. I'm wondering whether Lasty just electing to come in this lot because he obviously slipstreaming, doesn't want to be alone, and he'll put in less fuel and jump the lot of them. Let's find out though, as the race in the pit lane is fully on now. The slowest race you'll probably see all weekend. Who's going to come out in front? Mayer, Overstreet, or Lasky? There you go. Lasky's off already. Wow. Finally, we call something right between the lot of us. Lasky comes out in the lead. Well, they're looking like half a second advantage, although that's not going to mean too much. Mayer second, Overstreet third. See Rodriguez just in the background there. He's back out as David had the last car to stop. He's headed into pit lane. Well, he's done it, hasn't he? And what can he do from now? Can he just continue on with this? And, well, a different sort of driving style as well now, isn't it, Andy? Because earlier on, it's fuel saving. So you're taking all the corners nice and easy. It's easier being the car behind, prodding and probing the cars in front of you and using them as additional brake markers. Now, all of a sudden, the pressure is firmly on Lasky. And can the American absorb it and use some of that Northwestern spirit to hold on and carry himself to victory here?
I just think his tyres will be slightly better because he was a lot smoother going around corners. We watch a battle here. Chris Murakami is nearly in a 3-way battle with Marnie and Degassi here. Marnie's done a great job to get back up and, like you said, to be in an opportunity to get into the top 3 of the Masters at the moment. Currently lying in 4th place, so does have Murakami just in front of him to get into the top 3 positions of that Masters category. But these 3 drivers, all in their own ways, experts at these little cars. Murakami, Mani and Degassi, who we saw earlier on fighting of a rather a lot with Laurie up in 9th place, but I think Laurie still owes us a pit stop, does he not? No, he does not. So he's done exceptionally well to get out well ahead of De Gasses. So De Gasses must have taken a lot longer in the pit lane.
Yes, absolutely spot on, Andy. 3 seconds, in fact, difference between those two. So I think that's largely. I think De Gasses has put too much fuel in. These cars go up in like increments of, you know, a few litres or a gallon to at a time. So, but yeah, it's all or nothing really. It's no fine tuning whatsoever. Seeing this fascinating battle for third in Masters being played out. Marnie, Murakami, De Gasses at the moment. As things stand, as we head inside the last, well, 9 minutes, certainly 8.5 minutes left on the clock here for Phillip. Still a lot to play for. Third place in Masters, still very much alive, that battle. And of course the podium overall, will it be Lasky's come from 8th on the grid to lead right now? Or will it be Overstreet and Mayer, who of course started on the first and second row respectively? And if they start battling, don't discredit Jesus Rodriguez. Maybe 6 seconds down, but we've all been there. That gap can evaporate in a blink of an eye, especially if one of them falls off the track. Like we saw to Marnie not too long ago as Phillip Fernandez. That's in for his second stop of the day. I do wonder whether that might be damage induced from him. It looks like he has come off track, so maybe that's what it was. Not too sure. Anyway, a tough day at the office for the American. As well, ding ding, round, we're on to lap 20, so it must be round 20 between this lot into turn 1. So I thought for a second they would try and make it 3 wide.
Just too wide today. So Mayer managing to get back in front, but it's super hard for any one of these three to get away from each other to get that little bit of a gap, because the slipstream is so powerful coming out at turn number 10 that literally you just get clawed back in. And it's to me, I think it's going to be the car that's in second, third if they're close enough. If they're this close coming in out in the last corner, then it's literally going to be a sprint to the line there as we watch Lasky just try to get the inside line here into turn number 4. Not quite managing to do, but pushing Mayer out in the confines of that one, so still keeping in the second place. But I just think Lasky's got such a smoother transition through going into the corners to coming out, which will be saving his tyres a lot more. We've seen Megan Street and Mayer just sliding around the corners, but currently watching the battle here for Reese in 6th place with Coffey, the top of our S2 category there in 5th. He's done exceptionally well, 4 places ahead of his main rival Laurie, Tom Laurie, in 9th place at the moment. So he's had a cracking race in his class, but having a little bit of battle here with Antonio Reese, trying to get that 5th place off him, with Brewster following in close proximity as well. So it's a battle on for Tom Coffey, Laurie, sorry, and so he's done really well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll tell you, Rex, let's not forget, having started 5th, came off the track, fouled pretty much right to the back of the field. So astounding stuff from him right now to not only lead in Masters, but looking at a shot of a position inside the top 5 as they come out the final corner. We all get a bit of a preview of what we could potentially see onto the final lap, just how close they will be as they cross the line. Wow, it's a proper photo finish perspective that we're looking towards here, as Mayer is ahead of Lasky, so our top 2 have swapped around. But as you said, Andy, being first probably isn't where you want to be, is it? And starting to think about the finish maybe. Just, oh, well, there you go, he's off. Mayer from the lead. Well, if he can get the car going. No, he's not. Rodriguez now onto the podium. And well, Mayer into 4th, and he's dropped a couple of seconds behind Jesus Rodriguez. Well, that was a little bit expected from the Iberian. So take a look. I think he just outbraked himself here, Andy.
Yeah, definitely did. Coming down into the corner, hard on the brakes, loses the back end, and the back end just goes out on him on turn number 4. So just trying to push it that little bit too much, and unfortunately lost the back end. So now we have a 2-horse race at the front of this field with Lasky and Overstreet. So it's going to be down to one of them two. So will Lasky just let Megan Overstreet, or will Megan just stay behind him to obviously had a preview of the power of being in second place coming out of that last corner, and this is a good preview of probably what's going to happen on the final lap there, side by side coming over the thing, and you can see there Overstreet getting in front. So whichever car is in second place here is going to win if they can keep it as close as they are at the moment. And I'm pretty sure that both of them know at this moment in time, very much 4 minutes left of this race to go, so they've had enough practice with each other coming around that last corner, being in second, being in third, being in the lead, to know that that second place car is where you want to be.
And by my calculations, after they complete this lap, they will have 2 more laps left. So it's going to be tight. Maybe it's starting to size up a little bit to one another at this stage of the race, these closing stages. I think Overstreet knows it. Has she shown her cards a little bit too early? Getting the jump on Lasky. It's the 2 Americans right at the top. With very different races, how they've come to be that top 2. People have fallen by the wayside, but these 2 still remain there in the fight. In with a sharp victory here for round 4 in the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors at Phillip Island. And who is going to get it? Well, as we say, it's looking like advantage Lasky despite being in second fast to that run to the line, but he will need to time it to perfection. And he has looked very good coming out of that final corner each and every time, whereas Overstreet seems to just ran in a little bit too deep into MG, that tight right-hander beforehand, which just compromised there, but I should be making that Formula Ford car as wide as possible on the run to the line on the final lap, as Lasky moves drivers left now of Overstreet. And across the line, there was 300 separating the pair of them.
He actually lifted again to let Megan Overstreet be in front. So very much playing that tactical game here. It can, it's all or nothing now for Kane Lasky here on. Probably got one more lap after this, maybe. So it's going to be interesting. But that was a good size up from Lasky to see can he get it done, if he can get it. It's all about that exit out off turn 10 out the hairpin down the hill. You know, we saw Lasky get a really good exit off there that really put Megan Overstreet under a lot of pressure, and Megan took it slightly wider, so it's going to be interesting, and it's all going to be about who gets the better exit out of turn 10. But we're joining back up with Antonio Reese, who's managed to get past Richard Coffey for that 5th place overall, so a great comeback here for Antonio Reese to get up and lead the Masters at the moment. Brewster just trying to get past Coffey so he can fight for that top position in the Masters, but doesn't really seem to be showing his hand that much as Jim Brewster, so it may be writing on the wall that he is going to take 2nd place in that Masters, but does have that slipstream effect coming out of the last corner, so I still wouldn't write him off just yet. But currently getting into very much the closing stages. One more lap of this race to go here, and this is going to be a battle to the line overall. And Kane Lasky here coming around the last corner, literally size him up. Look, just watch him, and you'll probably hear him just coming off the gas again. So manages to really get it done quickly. Does he come off? No, he doesn't. Wow, that's
surprising.
That's it is very surprising.
Now there is one other definitive overtaking place around here, being, that into the hard onto the brakes into Honda, that tight right-hander that they're going to come up to in a couple of corners' time as they head out of the Southern Loop down towards Stoner Corner right now. Will he let Overstreet pass, or is he feeling? Well, he seems to have those last 3 corners a lot more sorted than Overstreet. Well, he defends it, doesn't allow Overstreet through. Is he clearly feeling buoyed, feeling confident by what he's witnessed in the last few laps? This is what it comes down to, folks. Half a lap remaining between our top 2. This shootout, who's going to get it? Will it be Lasky? Will it be Overstreet? Rodriguez looking comfortable and safe right now for that 3rd place. Richard Coffey leading Spec 2. Race leading Masters. We're right on board with Overstreet to come across the top of the hill here through Lukey Heights down into MG. And this is where Lasky has been so much stronger, and he just needs to hold on. He needs to keep his nerve. He's got that one secure through turn 11.
That was a great exit there from Megan Overstreet to get out of that corner, literally neutralising Lasky. And this is now a sprint to the line. Is Megan Overstreet able to close the gap? You see the gap closing ever so slightly. Has she left it just a little bit too late? And it's a side-by-side here. It's a battle to the line between the two. Lasky just gets it on the line by 9,000ths of a second to Megan Overstreet. That was close.
Wow, it's holding on, and then it's holding on by 9,000 of a second, but that's not done and dusted for the rest of the race right now. As he holds on across the line there to claim Masters victory. Brewster second in class, Coffee taking the win in Spec 2. Marnie and Murakami across the line. They swap around right at the line as well. Just 800s between them. That's a bit boring. We're more engrossed by 1,000. I still an incredible finish though between those guys.
I mean, it was all on the line, wasn't there, for Lasky? I mean, I was quite surprised that he actually went in front, knowing that last 2 laps he was able to get past Megan Overstreet in the start-finish line. So I was quite surprised that he did that. I thought that he might have thrown it away slightly, but had 9,000ths of a second in his pocket going over the line. I mean, I don't think it gets very much closer than that at a race, but Megan nearly had it there right on the line. But what a race, a cracking race between these two. It's pity the rest of the group that was with these top riders basically fell out by the wayside, but these two still made a grandstand finish.
I've just had a little look at the iRacing results, Andy. iRacing themselves are claiming it at 4,000th. Oh, there you go, 5,000th to be precise. Wow, Lasky takes it from Overstreet, Rodriguez third. Mayer fourth in the end. That mistake just costing him dearly a chance of, well, certainly being on the podium, if not taking overall victory. Antonio Rice, great recovery from him to claim the victory in Masters. Coffee, your winner in Spec 2. Then Brewster, second in class, and he's 7th overall. Jason Green, another great recovery from him. Someone who's been in the wars today to finish 8th. Tom Laurie, second in Spec 2 in 9th overall. Marnie, in the end, after falling off the track, recovers to claim a place inside the top 10, only just by 800ths of a second over Murakami, and in doing so, takes that last podium place in the Masters. Tagasis and Ray, second, 12th and 13th. Then we've got Flores to round out your Spec 2 podium. Solid result for him. Jess Gobsham 15th, then Head and Wrecked 16th and 17th. Phillip Fernandez, 1 lap down in 18th. 19th, 2 laps down was John Toms. Warbolt, 3 lap downs in 20th. And then retirements, both of them on lap 6. 21st and 22nd, we lost Tim Hendrickson and Caleb Pocock. Let's have a bit of a chat to some of our drivers. First off, wow, you could have got that much closer, really, could you, Megan Overstreet? Looking like how it was shaping up. Us in the commentary booth, we thought you'd get it at the line. It seemed to be the second place was the place to be. Were you surprised to see Kane Lasky go ahead of you, seeing as though he backed out of it, coming onto that final lap into turn 1, and then also to defend as well as you came down in towards Honda?
Yeah, I was almost expecting to get past him, but I just didn't get the best exit out of the last hairpin, so I didn't have that good momentum, and then we were bobbing just a little bit, so I know I slowed myself down just that teeny tiny bit doing that, so that cost me a few hundredths at least.
Well, it did, and in the end, all you needed is 5,000ths of a second. That's what it was at the line. I mean, having said that, though, I mean, it looked like, certainly from the commentary booth, a crazy race out there between yourself, Kane, Simon Mayer, and Jorg as well. Just sort of took us through those early stages, because you were all constantly swapping places.
Yeah, it felt like a battle of attrition. Who was going to make a mistake? Because you could get a good draft on the front stretch, but then all the technical stuff is very easy to spin out in these cars. That caught Jorg out going in the left-hander leading up to the last hairpin. He started getting a little sideways, and this car just hooked to the left, and it spun him right out.
Yeah, it was gutting. Like you say, it did become a bit of a war of attrition. We're going to see you later on in the SRFs.
Oh, yeah.
I shouldn't have even asked. Should have known the answer by now. Well, congratulations on the second, and good luck for later on. That's Megan Overstreet there, finished second here today in the Formula Fords from Phillip Island. Andy, I understand you stand by with Jim Brewster.
Yeah, we got Jim here. Jim, welcome to the booth, mate. very interesting race around a track that's probably not used that much in iRacing of Phillip Island. How was that race for you, mate?
Oh, we use it a lot. You know, it's Draft City, especially with the V's. In fact, Megan was just saying I beat her out for the win in the V yesterday by 3,000, and she lost today by 5,000. So, you know, she got two second place overalls in 2 days by a total of 8,000ths of a second.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it definitely is. It's super competitive racing in these little Formula Fords. I mean, how are you enjoying racing around the tracks in these cars?
Well, you know what? This car is so slippery that it's the only car that almost simulates a MotoGP. You know how MotoGP, they drift only through that whole last sweep around to the main straight, and the Ford, you're actually drifting like that. It's a handful of a car, and so I made a mistake of calculating my gas mileage while chasing somebody, so my numbers were all off. So I took a wild guess, and I came up a lap short. So I had to let Antonio and Richard get past me, so I had somebody to draft, and it saved me in a lap. And I came up, I was good by half a lap at the end.
Yeah, we were watching the race there, and we saw you at the back of that battle at the top between Antonio Riss and Richard Coffey there, and you just sitting at the back. And I'm probably saying that you probably did you a bit of injustice then with what you just said, saying that, you know, you're not able to make the passive move, but it sort of makes sense now why you were at the back, just saving the fuel. I mean, the technical abilities of these cars are really good. I mean, you obviously tuned it to a MotoGP, and I can probably see the similarities, because when we were driving on board with the cars, we could hear a lot of the sliding effects when you go around the
these
corners.
things move around a lot. Yeah. Well, especially that what's the second corner? That's just insane. You know, that's just you're in total slide, downshifting, sliding, and praying. And I assume a few people lost it there at some point during the race. It's, you know, that's just I don't know what the name of that corner is, but boy, that's a crazy corner.
I suppose it's good in a way when it does that, when you haven't got cars around you. But when you've got 2 or 3 wide, like we saw at the start of the race, it gets a little bit hairy and dicey, doesn't it?
Well, yesterday, old Megan there, she was passing me around the outside with a V yesterday there around the outside, and I still have to figure out how she does that. But, you know, in the Vs, we were, you know, in the side-by-side, you know. We'll have to see. The Spec Racer Fords could be even crazier, you know, a bigger field, you know, this is the same. This is such a fine bunch of racers. They race hard, but they clean, and they're stupid fast. You know, I mean, these people are fast. I'm thrilled to be in a top 10 with these guys.
Well, I mean, you certainly did that today. Your top 7 positions. Well, congratulations on that, mate, and look forward to seeing you next time out.
Yeah, and thank you so much for you guys' work. Like I said, I've got fans all around that watch your videos, and we just love the way you commentate. Last week, I think you spotted the net code on that crash that took out the top 7 cars. And, you know, I can see that when I'm doing a replay to take pictures, but for you to catch that live, that was really sharp of you.
We are a sharp bunch of guys, us and Tim, as well. So we do try. We just can't predict who's going to win the race. So unfortunately, if your name gets scored out at the start, I don't think you're going to do very well by our form today. But,
there's a curse, eh?
It certainly is the curse of the commentators. So both me and Tim's predictions were woefully short of being correct, should we say. But congratulations, mate, on a top 10 finish, like you said. Chuffed for you for that, and look forward to seeing you next time out.
You bet. See you next week.
See you next week, Jim.
Well, that's all we've got time for here today. Well, that was absolutely crazy from the Formula Fords. As Jim mentioned, coming up about 40 minutes time here on the channel. It's the turn of the SRF, the Ford Spec Racers. See how they get on. Even bigger grids from them, bigger action. And well, we had a finish of 5,000ths of a second. Can it be even closer later on? Part of Super Sunday here on Apex Racing TV. Make sure you tune in for that. But from myself, Tim Cox, Samula Kumo, and Andy Thompson, we'll see you shortly. Goodbye.